Hey, and thanks for joining me. I'm your host, Jason Brown, the co founder of SERPWoo and the inventor of SERP tracking. And in this episode, I'll walk you through what's working in SEO this week, April 29th edition. You can catch our last week's edition, which was April 22nd. If you want to follow along with these changes, see how they change week to week. But glad to have you. And I've got some new information, some things that have fallen out, some new things that have popped up. Each week, something changes or gets shuffled within Google. And I'm here to show you what those changes are each week to help you gain insight on what's working each week within SEO. Now, before we get started, I've got a special message. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Do something to show me that this is the kind of content you want to keep watching. You know, it's very important. I'm not doing this to get more views on YouTube. You know, that's always nice. I will admit that. But when I go back into our analytics for YouTube, looking at what gets the most likes, the most interactions, comments, really tells me where to kind of drive or focus here at SERPWoo with these videos to help you. So anything that you can do to like, comment, subscribe, or ring the bell is definitely an indicator. It will help us. I'll definitely admit that, but it's really more focused about how to serve you best. And before I move forward, we do have a sponsor. And of course, that sponsor is SERPWoo. You know, SERPWoo is the original SERP tracking and ORM tracker that will help you find out what it takes specifically to rank for your keywords, your SERPs, your industry, your niche. It's not going to be vanilla, generic, rehashed SEO that everybody wants to follow. It actually does come down to what's working in your niche. And that's why I developed SERPWoo, so that I could track my individual SERPs, watch them over time, how these SERPs change, and then go back and research who those competitors are that have longevity in the SERPs after all of these bouncing around and shuffling, and back research what they're doing and what's working for them to keep that longevity in my individual SERPs. And what's funny is this video series, what's ranking this week, actually came out of blog series that I used to do about individual topics, keywords, and SERPs and niches about what it takes to rank in higher education, what it takes to rank in legal, what it takes to rank in e-commerce, and really finding out that in each one of these industries and even down to each individual keyword, sometimes what worked for one did not work for the other. So really honing down and finding out what works for your individual keywords is why SERPWoo was invented, and that's why they are today's sponsor. They'll probably be the sponsor of this channel for as long as this channel's up. So go ahead and check out SERPWoo. You can get 20% extra keywords when you sign up today for a paid plan. Don't miss that deal. You don't know how long we're going to keep it. Now, back to what this video is about, which is what's working for April 29th. So let me jump into something here real quick. So this is inside SERPWoo. These are our global stats. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is we created our last what it takes to, or what's working, what's working for April 22nd last week. And as you can see from last week, April 22nd, until yesterday, April 28th, not really much has changed for volatility. Now, volatility is the amount of change as a percentage of what's bouncing up and down for page one. So there hasn't been a lot of difference between day to day for the last week. It's really hovering in that 15% zone. Now, we did have that shuffling or unnamed algorithm update that happened on the 21st. As you can see, that's 18%. Quick tip, anything that crosses this 16%, we start thinking there's some major shuffling going on because it creates volatility. And as you can see, right before the 21st here, it started creeping up. You know, here's April 17th. Here's the 18th getting ready to cross 16%. We've got the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. So what you can gain from that is actually before there is a shuffling or before there is an algorithm update, things actually tend to go in that direction a couple days before. These are kind of like rolling out updates that go through all of the data centers. And as you can see, after April 21st, we came back down to near 16, still at 15%. And we've been that way for this week. So there's not a lot changing, but there has been some changes. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So last week on the 22nd, these are the factors that I seen happening for last week. What's working in SEO last week. Now, I look at the top 20 of what's working, and I use the data that's on the back end of SERPWoo. So I don't have any like formal reports to show you or formal data, but this is what I pulled out of our back end of SERPWoo. We monitor billions and billions of data points for this. And looking at the top 20 of those, which we're looking at, tons of data, we're looking at lots of factors. When I really look at the top 20, this is what came up the most. Last week, it was keyword frequency, keywords in your H2, keywords in sentences, keywords in P tags, A tags, LI tags, script tags, and div tags. Now, even though I looked at the top 20, a lot of this stuff repeated itself, which is why there's only 9 here. For instance, the reason why I picked out H2 was there were lots of times the groupings were H1 through H6, H1 through H3, H1 and H2, and then it was just H2. And so that would have helped make up more of what I would present here. But I just grouped it as H2 by itself because H2 came up by itself, and H2 was a part of each of those prior groupings I just mentioned. So I did condense this, which is why you're not seeing all 20 and you're just seeing 9. Now, when I ran it for April 29th, here's what I've got. We've got what looks like repeating. So we've got keyword frequency as one of the top factors, keywords in H2. Keywords and sentences didn't come up in the top 20. Now, I'm not saying it's not important, but it wasn't in the top 20. I think it was like 24th this time when I ran it. So I took it out because it was not showing in the top 20. Keywords in P tags, keywords in A tags, still showing up. Keywords in L tags dropped out of the top 20. I'm not saying it's not important, just wasn't in the top 20. I think LI tags was actually 22nd. Keywords and script tags still showing up. Keywords and div tags, still showing up. But here's what's new. Okay, we had 2 that dropped out and 2 that popped in. Keywords and out attributes. So if you're not dropping keywords in those alts, you're missing out this week at least. Keywords in main tags. Now, I went over this in last week's video where I said I'm not seeing main tags. Main tags has now popped up into the top 20. So, that's not saying last week main tag was not important. It just wasn't in that top 20. So when we're really looking at what's working this week, there's a lot of repeats here. It's still keyword frequency, keywords in H2, P tags, A tags, script tags, div tags, and now new this week into the top 20 at least, alt tags and your main tags. So, this is not advice to, go through and redo your website each week just to these factors. But if you are missing at least these that repeat and not focusing these that repeat, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. Hopefully when we get into, our 6th week, and I've got 6 weeks of data here, we can see that what frequently pops up and isn't volatile, meaning what's popping in week to week and then moving back out. What we might find is after 6 weeks or so, or a longer term, that it really comes down to keywords and H tags. Maybe that's repeated in all these future weeks. Maybe alt and main bounces a lot. Maybe there's something else that bounces a lot. But what we're looking at generically is really, these keywords that are going to repeat themselves. And really, this is kind of the idea behind SERPWoo. Again, not to push SERPWoo, but the idea of SERPWoo was to show you what's coming up frequently in the SERPs. Real short story here. Back as an SEO years ago, I fell under the belief that who's ever ranking top 3 were my real competitors, and I needed to find out what they were doing to rank top 3. And if you've done this for any amount of time, you know that sometimes a spammy site can knock up into the top 3, or maybe a website that's new or a post that is new gets that uh, relevancy factor, or they get the freshness factor, and they get pumped up into the top 3 for about a week while Google tests out the CTR, and then they drop back down. If you're looking at that, when you do that analysis of here's who's ranking top 3, here's who I'm going to copy, you can get the wrong SEO data. So the reason why I built SERPWoo was so that I could track my keywords over time in the top 100, and track what was going on in the top 100 for 30, 60, 90 days or more, and really find out, hey, my real competitor might have been that person in number 4 because they've survived all of these updates. They've been ranking 4th all of this time. Everybody else has bounced up and down. Maybe I really need to copy what the number 4 guy is doing, and then improve upon that and go over that to rank 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. And that's kind of what I want to do with this analysis. I want to look at each of these weeks and say, hey, we got things that are bouncing up and down. Those might be extra goodies to have, but the foundation that I really need to focus on is what is always getting repeated over time. And we might very well find out that keywords in P tag, that's where it's at. Keywords in H2 tags, that's really where it's at. I can tell you right now, just from doing blog posts in previous years and looking at this over and over again with just back-end data from SERPWoo, keywords in H2 tags is really where it's going to be at. That for sure is going to be a major factor over time, because it was a major factor in all of those prior analysis. So I hope this helps you. That's it for today. I do want to stress, please like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, just so that I know that this is the type of content that you want to watch and see. And I'll join you again next week when we look at what's working in SEO this week. Thanks a lot and have a good day.